About 3 minutes, so hit the bathroom, hit the bar. We'll see you in a couple minutes.
Here? Do you sit up front because you're meeting?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Summer Poetry Party! Thank you for being here. I'm Beth Sampson. I'm the Executive Director of the Chicago Poetry Center. As we start, we want to acknowledge that this event is being hosted on the unceded homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi nations. Many other tribes, such as the Miami, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Sauk, and Fox, also call this area home. The region has long been a center for Indigenous people to gather, trade, and maintain kinship ties. Today, one of the largest urban American Indian communities in the United States resides in Chicago, continuing to contribute to the vitality of this city and to celebrate their heritage, practice traditions, and care for the land and waterways. We take this moment to honor all who came before us, the Indigenous peoples displaced by colonization, as well as those who built this country through uncompensated and compulsory labor, those enslaved and those oppressed. We honor those who came before and all those who continue to live on this land as we hold this shared space for art and expression. Thank you. CPC's mission is to connect people to poetry, equitably engage poets with communities, and foster creative literacy in our city and beyond. Our core programs include arts education, which you will hear about in a little bit from Helene, and literary life, which you will hear about in a little bit from Marty, and critical conversations at work, through which we use the written word as a springboard for powerful conversations about how race shapes our individual experiences of the world, both within and outside the realm of work. You can get more information about it on the registration table, on our website, or from any CPC staffer. We also want to thank Haymarket House, our home base, for allowing us to host tonight's event here, and also to thank our beverage sponsor, Revolution Brewing, and our co-sponsor for the event, Kundiman Midwest. Kundiman is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to nurturing generations of writers and readers of Asian American literature. To extend Kundiman's vision of community building for Asian American writers everywhere, Kundiman has developed a national network of regional groups to host their own salons, readings, and workshops. This event is co-sponsored by Kundiman Midwest. Please welcome to the microphone our wonderful director of programs, Helena Chanzar.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be gathered here with you today to celebrate Chicago's vibrant poetry community. At CPC, our vision is to create a fair and verdant world rooted in artistic expression, human connection, and boundless imagination. Ooh, moody! Boundless imagination! An important way we do that is through our arts education program. In CPC's poetry residencies, poets and residents visit classrooms across the city for 20 weeks. In their lessons, poets read and discuss poetry with students, then students write and share their own original poems. One of my favorite parts of my job is getting to read the student work that poets and residents publish on the school blogs that are on the CPC website. I'm always in awe of the fun and inventive ways our poets engage young people in creative self-expression. And before I go on about poets and residents, can we see y'all right now? Because there are so many of you here and y'all are so lovely. Thank you so much. So not only are CPC poets great teaching artists, but they're also dynamic performers. In our school assemblies, the poets and residents illuminate auditoriums and other event spaces with their poems. And the assemblies include 3 performers that play an interactive poetry slam style game called the Instapoem. And it's as fun as it sounds. So if you or anyone you know is interested in being part of this wonderful team of poets in residence, we're currently hiring poets to teach residencies at schools all across the city. So please find more details at our website, poetrycenter.org. And now I'm excited to hear poems from some of our poets in residence. Our education programs wouldn't be what they are without the skill, talent, and dedication that our poets bring to schools. I can't say enough what a delight it's been to work with this phenomenal group of artists and educators. So without further ado, and with lots of warmth and adoration, I'll introduce our first reader. Luis Tubens is a Chicago-born Puerto Rican poet and poet in residence. Currently, he explores poetry in collaboration with movement and music. He's also in an incredible band. He also tours through Mexico and Puerto Rico and has just been such a wonderful part of our community here. He is also on the Chicago Poetry Center board. So he's supporting arts education and poetry in Chicago in so many ways. Please give it up for Luis Tubens.
Hello, hello. Okay, cool. Give it up to Helene, y'all. This poem is a poem about one of my favorite people, my grandmother. I wasn't expecting all that, right? I was like, no, man, that got me right here. La sangre llama, the blood calls, my grandmother would say. Her accent is one of the last sounds left. 50 years of cold city living got her reminiscing of a warmer place. Maybe that is why she spends so much time in la cocina. This is her time capsule. Childhood memories come back to her every time she sprinkles seasoning. Here, she offers advice con sabor. Sofrito with amor. En la cocina is where abuela sits next to the window of our 3rd floor apartment. I could swear she was looking at the city's snow-covered rooftops like they were the rolling green mountains of Puerto Rico. Our window in the tiny cocina overlooks an alley, a gallery of hood stories where she would see Tony and George playing the art of catch, Juanita and Lucy playing tag, and Andy hunched over doing the junkie dance. Oye, ven a comer. The mornings were coffee, strong. It was her sunrise ritual to awake the senses. A can of Café Bustelo sits next to the stove while she has her pan con mantequilla. The afternoons brought bacalao frying. The sizzles sounded like a crispy ocean. Abuela plays music while she washes dishes. The faucet sounds like a waterfall. Music is dripping from the alarm clock radio. She is dancing with the mop. Abuela's cocina is where I learned how to speak Puerto Rican. Sofrito, pilon, malanga, yuca, machuca, and I sit and wait patiently for my food. Thank you. Yes. Shout out to all the grandmothers out there. I have the absolute pleasure of introducing the next poet. So I'm gonna read her bio, and then talk a little bit about her. Ola Faleti writes poetry, fiction, non-fiction, and all genres in between. As a daughter of Yoruba immigrants, Ola grew up in the then ethnically diverse enclave of Uptown. Her work has been featured in Chicago Reader, Hypertext Magazine, Interim Poetics, Jet Fuel Review, and elsewhere. Currently, she's the nonfiction editor at Vagabond City Lit. Her favorite number is 9. And that's not a typo, no, you really said that. I was in my groove, I was reading it, I was like, yeah, okay, all right. And she believes that there is no such thing as too many flowers. Can you all please give it up for Ola Faleti?
Hi, hello. Thank you for that introduction and getting us started in that way, Louise. That was awesome. I am wearing a necklace that says 999, so 9 is indeed my favorite number. Plot twist, I'm not reading poetry. I am going to read an excerpt from some long-form fiction that I am working on and finishing by the end of the summer. Context-wise, I will just say that this is in epistolary form, so in the form of letters, and the main character is writing to her mother posthumously as she's grappling with their relationship as it existed when she was alive and now that she is no longer. So I will just get into it. Since I was little, you made me think I had a problem with self-restraint. I tried to keep it in check because of your insistence on ironing everything. Clothing, linens, people, and bad habits. I often dreamed I was drowning. All those dreams when I was 7, just going to bed, staying up with Junie B. Jones and my purple flashlight. Under the covers, I'd fall asleep and think of chlorinated pools and deep aquamarines, me trying to swim up to the rippling surface on time, running out of breath and waking up gasping, waking up in a pool of my wet. I don't like remembering the disgust on your face then, or how dirty I felt when you told me how to load the washer. I had to figure it out. There were all the things you did to try and curb my bedwetting, like stopping me from having water 3 hours before bed, or making me go to the bathroom 1,000,000 times a day. I'd run water just to hear the rush of something so I wouldn't imagine your breathing outside the door. You made me feel like I was too much. Mateo doesn't make me feel that way. He makes me feel like we could grow something together with his pragmatism and sturdiness, with his dry sweetness. You always reminded me of a rock on fire, steady, unyielding, and licking everyone around you with heat. I think I'm more of a watery type, sloshing about, submerged in the tenderness of my own making, submerged in tears always. When I grew older, I doubted how much you actually wanted to be a mother. I talked to Auntie Maiwa recently. She asked about Teo and marriage, and I said I didn't know yet. Well, be sure to marry a man you actually love. Don't be like your mother, God rest her soul. What? She never told you about her other suitor. This guy was engaged to her. He was Igbo and yellow like anything. She wanted a family with him so bad. So what happened? And Auntie Maiwa told me about Esam, a hazel-eyed guy you met at the University of Ibadan. You were both students at the College of Medicine. He was from the East. There were misunderstandings and passion without filters. She said you were both too strong-minded. You needed someone soft, like my father, a man easier to mold. I drank in this new information thirstily. Thank you. Now, it is my great pleasure to introduce Lisa Lowe. Lisa Yes, let's clap it up. Lisa Lowe's poems have appeared in Copper Nickel, Ecotone, the Massachusetts Review, Poetry, the Southern Review, and elsewhere. And her prose was awarded the 2020 Gulf Coast Nonfiction Prize. She is the 2023 recipient of a Pushcart Prize and has an MFA from Indiana University and a PhD from the University of Cincinnati. Her debut chapbook, Crown for the Girl Inside, will be out this month from Yes Yes Books and is also available for pre-order as well. Give it up for Lisa Lowe.
Thank you so much, Ola. Thank you, CPC. I'm really excited to be here with you all. I think I'm actually close enough to the mic this time. I feel like I never am. I'm really excited to read with all my other poets in residence and also Jane Wong. Okay, yes. So we'll go. Okay, sideways, because line breaks. This poem is called Instagram Babies. Instagram knows which babies I want to see. The ones like my baby who are cuter than all the others. I love social media magic. Consume too many avocado and mango rose making videos. Obsessed with Winston, who hates the sight of food one moment, then wears a full face of yogurt the next. I love the before and after breastfeeding reels the best. How the internet makes newborn babies instantly 6 months old. I watch but don't partake. On my public account, I hide my baby's face under an emoji like celebrities do. Like my righteousness will protect him. While on my private account, there are never enough likes on photos of him, so I lurk. It takes months of scrolling to admit to myself my baby's cuteness doesn't prevent him from boring me. I told him I was reading this poem today, so. I felt sorry for the next in fashion finalist who worked so hard. Her daughter only drew pictures of her from behind, not thinking of the drawings my baby would make of me if he could, bowing to my phone, permanently hunched. In the first poem I wrote postpartum, I exaggerated my capacity for attention as if already judged. My brain hurts from qualifying boredom with love. Even while writing this poem, I look at my baby above my computer screen and look back like I'm scrolling past him. Thank you. This is a great crowd. I'm so excited to introduce our next poet, Christie Valentin-Bati. Is a suburban kid, now mostly grown up with an MFA from Columbia College. She is an interdisciplinary poet and artist whose creative work and pedagogy emphasizes the quotidian as the bulk of life resides in the ordinary. Her work has received honorable mentions in the 2022 and 2021 Academy of American Poets Poetry Contest, has been commissioned by the ACLU of Illinois, and exhibited at Forest Gallery, Davis Street Drawing Room. Give it up for Christie.
I have 2 poems, so my friends told me not to make any jokes, but I will make a joke. It's not, I learned the word quotidian from Noah over here, and I was like, oh, I sound so smart, but then no one else knows how to pronounce it, so it's like, it doesn't even matter. Okay, here's my poem. This is my body, the only thing I own in its entirety. Hi, Mom. I'm calling to say hello again. I've forgotten, yes, the password. How's Dad? On vacation? I'm thinking how easy people drift apart, even your own parents. I haven't called Dad. I had an argument with a friend, and now we don't speak like humans anymore. Time is strange, like this body you made me. Cassie gifted me a basil plant. The flowering part bent and broke off. The leaves flopped. I saw algae growing on the roots. They looked like the yarn braids Black Barbie dolls have. My sister would buy me Barbies on my birthday. I'd make my dolls kiss. I'd throw rocks across the grass in our backyard, imagining a clear lake. I learned anything can happen to anyone at any time. Like after Mom was hospitalized, she stopped painting, speaking, taking walks. I was a junior in college, withdrew for a year. Now she's baking with multicultural recipe books. I called her yesterday and she said she had just finished making pain patat, a Haitian version of sweet potato pie that she hadn't had since she was a little girl. Thank you. Okay, stop that so I can do my segment. All right. This is my body, the only thing I own in its entirety. This is my body, the only, etc. Or to begin again, I'm alone. Though you are here moving your pen, though you are known to me like a constellation, even our exhales are a magnitude of usual forms. You sit and move, I sit and move, shedding, seeking, cloud, life, landscape, touch. Or to begin again, the night ignites. I am an assemblage of old ruptures. I found myself yearning, a location, comfort, a return. All the years of my life, I was trying to recover what had been lost, return to the first home, get back the rapture of first love, where there was no difference between breath or tongue or touch or feeling or sight or sweetgrass. Or to begin again, I'm witnessing the beauty of your body moving downstream, pushing arm, overhead, pushing. We are strangers always. We are folded and polished. I want to forget the ripples of violence. Everyone is so far away. So maybe we are cursed to be stained like berries. But the goal is to move past what's innate. I did see the house cat swat the blue jay from the sky. I tried to rescue it. Or to begin again, my name or body, my name being a part of a body I own, which also owns my name. Or to begin again, I am a small noun falling, how to keep the same immediacy of my name with everyone I touch. I mean to say I'm constrained by my intimate relationships. I mean this in a good way, the end. I will introduce C. Russell Price. So, also, this bio, well, y'all will see, but you might be saying some crazy stuff. C. Russell Price is originally from Glade Spring, Virginia, but now lives in Chicago. They are a Lambda Fellow in Poetry, a Ragdale Fellow, a Windy City Times 30 Under 30 honoree, an essayist, and a poet. They are the author of a chapbook, Tonight We Fuck the Trailer Park Out of Each Other, as well as the full-length collection, Oh, You Thought This Was a Date? Apocalypse Poems, published by Northwestern University Press. They currently serve on the curatorial? Yes. Thank you. Curatorial board for the Ragdale Foundation and as a member of the editorial collective for the Anarchist Review of Books.
Thank you. A lot of that stuff you gotta apologize to your mother before you read it. So we're gonna keep in that vein. If you feel uncomfortable, it's okay to laugh. I write shit my students can't write. So my next book is about spiritualism and grief and ghosts and cocaine and cowboys. And it's called Bisquick. And there's only 3 characters. There's me, the cocaine-riddled cowboy, and his blue horse, Bisquick. It's a boring book. So this is the opening poem. It's called Skunked, a Seance. What business does anyone have in New Jersey dreaming a field of just black cats In Yankee territory, there's a dead cowboy with cocaine every other bar. We got our money hunger honest at the rock climbing gym where my dealer and my ex make eyes and grips and check the tightness of each other's harnesses. When there are too many stars and not enough sky, there are just two simple questions to ask yourself. Where are my pants? And where did this burrito come from? My ghost cowboy boyfriend with a severe amphetamine problem likes to call me sugar and go on long hunts for predators of the poor. Before he saddles up Bisquick, his ghost horse, he gives me the see-through look of, well, look at you, just getting fucked up in the head by another stupid man. At dusk, when Bisquick and my man with the drip return, skulls of debt collectors echoing behind Bisquick like a wedding getaway car, he grabs my hips and says, drag it through the garden, sugar. And whatever that means, I do it. It's incredibly easy to clean up ghost dirt, to walk away from a man who lasted longer than one night, a month, then longer. I was lying when I said it didn't hurt. In the marsh land of grief, teeming with red cosmos, I want to stop missing you. And when I miss you, I take that little shit out back and make it pick out a switch. Those men, always seen and going towards a light with their big-dicked buttered faces. Him and Bisquick looking back at me all spent and bordered by a halo saying, I'm so sorry, we have to go now. And me smirking back, you think I'm gonna give you any time? You don't have a lot of land up there. And Bisquick takes off back towards me, dragging the stuffed up spoked son of a bitch by his nays. He says, like Tupac says, revenge is the sweetest joy next to getting pussy. We are bad boy killers, me, Bisquick, and my spectral domestic terrorist. He tips his leather brim, I stop him. I say, I'm at the point of my life, in the movie, in which the battered woman is smoking over a motel rail, looking at the sea and an abandoned Arby's parking lot. And she's getting up, and she's thinking, and her life changes from there on out. So, thank you. Yeah, welcome to church. Okie dokie. Up next we have Luz Magdaleno Flores. She's a Chicano art curator, poet, textile artist, and photographer based in Pilsen by way of Oxnard, California, also known as DJ Light of Your Vida. Her words have been featured in Chicago Reader, Southside Weekly, and Canada's Broken Pencil magazine. She is the current bilingual editor fixed for 60 Inches from Center. Deuce.
I have 3 short poems, so I'm gonna get started. An ode to my childhood. This one I would always do at the assemblies with the kids, so I thought I would do it for the grown-ups. My earliest life memory was being held by my madre. She was holding me as she splattered chickenpox lotion on my back. I think it was just a rash, she once told me. I also remember the ways in which she would pick me up in the middle of the night from her friend's house who would watch me when she would go dancing. My dad would also pick me up, but not at night. He would pick me up in the evening to take me to dinner on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and every other weekend on Fridays, and then drop me off at my cousin's house where I loved to eat my mean Tia Maria's delicious food. And I would always get a $20 domingo from my Tio Lias. I would see my dad again on Sunday mornings when he would put a fancy dress on me, comb my tangled hair into a funny hairdo that my brother would help him with, being held together with one of my big bows. And we would head out to Misa, the one that served menudo outside, but I would have to sit still for about an hour, sometimes longer, until service was done to get to eating, but it was always worth it. Then we would go to the movies. Oh, how I loved watching whatever was playing. If I didn't like it, I would lie and say I was going to the bathroom, when in reality, I was heading to the arcade and to the candy machine that dispensed these little sour candy liquid bottles. When the sun was coming down, my dad and brother would drop me back off at my mom's house, waving goodbye, as my mom yelled at me to get in the shower and take off the clothes that smelled like Magdaleno. She always preferred the smell of her last name, which means flowers. A putt. In my recalling of the memories, we drive past cold air on the Pacific Coast Highway, next to the roaring beach waves, salty, greased hair, in your 1950s Chevy Deluxe. And I know passion engulfed us in the back seat of a Volkswagen next to the 101. Not quite regrets yet, pretending, love always. A time not forgotten is what I mean. Too much of a hood feminist. The only Prince Charming is me. Nights come and go, quivers, death. Tires keep spinning and hearts keep beating. My prima can't call me no more. My tia accuses me of witchcraft that causes all her daughter's troubles. Men are never at fault. Dumb, powerful. Let's go for a putt, she would say. We were on lands of words invented. Tall cans still taste of her. Sad laughter. Long drives at times before $5 gallon prices. Before I rode across the sky to a colder and windier city with the last of my mother's blessing, en el nombre del Padre y del Hijo. I could still hear a woman cry, a moan under the moonlight. Suspiro profundo, lost at sea, do me. I had to get out, leave, in order to see the whip with no direction. That last line is borrowed from Joy Priest's Ghost Ride poem. You never cease to remind me of how good we are together. Even though there are times I decide to leave you at home, I always regret not having you by my side. Life is prettier through your eyes. Wish I had your eye. Love when you act fast, but also appreciate you when you make me wait for it. It's always a pleasant surprise when you remind me of times forgotten or people that are no longer friends or lovers. I can never hide how much I love someone from you. You give me an opportunity to capture the moment, save it for later. You also know how to make me reminisce on where I come from, where I am, and I love to imagine where we could go together. Sometimes when money's tight, I choose what is easiest and already in my hands. Or I make do with a heavy, broken partner that I know I need to upgrade. But when I am good to myself and ready to make magic, I unravel you, I fill you up with the type of needs you need met. I'm sorry it's been so long, but I'm ready for you again. A love letter to my film camera. Okay, thank you. I'm presenting Alyx Chandler. They are a writer from the South who received her MFA in poetry at the University of Montana, where she taught composition and creative writing. She lives in Chicago and works as a writing specialist for National Louis University, as well as a remote poetry teacher for Free Verse Writing Project, which hosts workshops for Montana children who are incarcerated or reside in psychiatric inpatient centers. She is a reader for Electric Literature and Poetry Northwest, and a former poetry editor for Cut Bank. Her poetry can be found in Cordella Magazine, Greensboro Review, SWWIM, Antolio's Magazine, Sweet Tree Review, and elsewhere.
Thank you so much. Okay, so yeah, I grew up in Alabama mainly, and we didn't really do vacations, but we went to the Gulf a lot. So I've been writing about the beach a lot, and yeah, researching sharks. So, yeah, this poem is called Apex Predator. Out of the playground of fins, I pull myself to shore. My knot of braided hair, a red bloom, spit bloody from my mother's mouth into mine. Never feed in a frenzy again, she tells me. I make no promises, even though I've seen what they do to sharks, how they get lured in, trapped, bait tricked dead. I know fear two ways, as it exists sharp in my body as a woman, but also at sea, when I'm a torpedo of cartilage, no one's daughter. I'm bound by a bloodlust that doesn't require delicacy, just dominance. I never question if it's too much or too little, and if they're scared of me, I know I've done something right. Since I was young, my only real weapon has always been my mouth. Then there's this hunger, murky as the deep waters and long gone echoes, where I hear my grandmother dead and loud, insisting what we kill lives on inside of us, our bellies an oasis of beasts barreled down our throats. Like ships, I want them to sink, but then settle at the bottom, ready to be made into a new ecosystem, darkness that eels and tiny octopus flock to. Today, I am so many lives cut short, a sea of voices rising under great pressure. I don't yet know what it takes to eat a feast of creatures and smile. I'm not okay being unforgiven, and I don't want rows of teeth tearing apart what I can barely see. When I'm told to be bold in my terror, I eat everything, every single table. I make a family of fearlessness in the shallow water and also run away from it. What if for once I get to be what I consume, a great Pacific octopus, still alive with a shield of shells, hidden in its makeshift home? If I had 3 hearts, imagine what I could do better, how I could empathize. On land, I've only ever seen a sand dollar fossilized, dead white. I've never known them purple-spined, flower skeletons burrowed happy in the sand. Let me camouflage, tuck away my 8 arms and mask male and female, full drag in an ocean of sharks. Tonight, give me blue tentacles and venomous blood, then strand me on shore, carnivorous anew. Thank you. All right. Next up we have Maya Odim. Maya Odim is a poet and performer who purposely mounts work in performance spaces that challenge occidental framings and imagings of performance and the performer of African American, Igbo, and African Cuban lineage. Maya is a dual citizen of Nigeria and the United States who lives in Chicago and travels often. Maya's self-published chapbooks are titled Places Where We Can Imagine and Planets, Gourds, and Traveling Staffs. More of Maya's work can be found at her website, and she is currently an MFA candidate at the School of Art Institute of Chicago. Give it up for Maya.
There's a lot of good energy, so I'm happy to be here. Occidental. I just don't want any kids out there to not know how it's. I care about the kids. Okay. I'm going to recite 2 poems, the titles of each, and go into both. And I'm going to change my bio to read Igbo Yellow.
That's not shady.
No, this is not on. Betting on the Muse. Sometimes all you have is a long shot. The perimeter of a perspective. A view that widens around you and narrows so precisely at a point directly in front of you. when focus can be converted to a primal feeling, breathing and sweating in public, then you can square up to fight the distance. A cipher is a compost heap, receiving nutrition, circular, radiates heat like compost, is filled with stacks of everything that have been released, the anticipation, the energy, the ease, if they breed as such, birth children, and children's children. A cipher is living like a human being, looks different each time like a human being, sometimes can be lost, challenging courage, sometimes has to be opened up and loses its middle, falling through the hole in the bucket, dear Liza, the hole. A cipher is defined by what it can contain as galaxy, defined by what people whom we call artists would call its negative space. Jump into its belly and let its elements break us down. A cipher makes eye contact, third eye. Welcomes lungs to fill, welcomes muscles to tear, welcomes getting it right, welcomes losing your way, no preform, no conform. A cipher is organic like people have been living for centuries, living off of the land. A cipher trades and barters for what's in season. A cipher is nothing new. A cipher moves with us like family inheritance. Centuries old, timeless cockroach, skeleton, cosmic slop lineage. A cipher has been around the block. A cipher is family like family inheritance that trumps blood. Cipher is spade. Cipher eat. Cipher breathe. Under the bed at night, cipher ghost. See you, see me. Cipher hide and go seek. Through the viewfinder are we found. In a cipher you can be.
So good, right? So good. Oh my goodness. Well, you know when the server comes up to you and is like, hope you save room for dessert. It's like, hope you save room for the main course. Super excited to have Jane Wong with us tonight as our headlining leader. A couple quick things I want to talk about before we get to Jane, just really briefly. At the Chicago Poetry Center, we believe that poetry illuminates our individual and shared humanity, fueling thriving lives and healthy communities. Our Literary Life program, which includes this and now annual event, it's the second one, so like it's annual now, right? Yeah, right, we've made this commitment and it's gonna happen every year. The monthly Blue Hour series, the Poetry at the Green reading series, and other performance partnerships with organizations around the city. A couple quick things. Poetry at the Green at 320. You may have seen this floating around. Check it out. It is every Monday at 6 p.m., May through September, so you've still got time to go check it out at 320 South Canal. It is awesome. It's an open mic. There's a featured reader. And we also have the Blue Hour series, which I curate and host, and that happens every month, the third Wednesday of every month. So we will start up again just next month, August 16th. Leave your house early because it's the Crosstown Classic. Thank you for groaning with me about sports ball, because it interferes with our ability to get to poetry. It's the primary problem with it. Anyway, August 16th, please do come. We start off our season with Maggie Queenie and Brittany Rogers. It's going to be incredible, and then it's the third Wednesday of the month from there on out. If you're not already on the mailing list, do sign up. As I say that, I realize I didn't put the mailing list out, so we'll do that shortly. Or just go to our website and let us know that you want to be on it. I'll talk more after this, never you fear, but without further ado, our amazing feature for tonight is Jane Wong.
who is the author of the debut memoir, Meet Me Tonight in Atlantic City, out now from Tin House, which will be on sale, along with her poetry collection just over in the conference room. I believe that she will sign them, which will be awesome. She's also the author of 2 books of poetry, How Not to Be Afraid of Everything, which is framed as poetry but feels real instructional for some of us. How Not to Be Afraid of Everything, which is on Alice Jane's book, and Overpour from Action Books. She holds an MFA in poetry from the University of Iowa and a PhD in English from the University of Washington, and is an associate professor of creative writing at Western Washington University. Her poems can be found in places such as Best American Non-Required Reading 2019, Best American Poetry 2015, the New York Times, American Poetry Review, Poetry, the Kenyon Review, New England Review, and others. Her essays have appeared in places such as McSweeney's, Black Warrior Review, Ecotone, The Common, The Georgia Review, Shenandoah, and Want, Women Writing About Desire. A Kundiman Fellow, she's a recipient of the Pushcart Prize and fellowships and residencies from the Fulbright Program, Artist Trust, Harvard's Woodbury Poetry Room, For Culture, a bunch more. She's the bomb. In the best way. I just want to just briefly say personally that I feel like Jane's work is the kind of work that sort of looks at fact and then tells us the truth about it, and looks sort of through fact and reveals to us then truth. Okay, Jane, come on up, grace us, tell us the truth.
Oh my God, I'm here. First, I have to say it's such an utter honor here to be here at the Chicago Poetry Center. I feel literally ignited by the poems I just listened to and kind of felt through. So thank you, everyone who just read the fellows. It's an honor. Like I literally, I think I'm gonna change the order what I'm gonna read based on what just happened. But I just want to give a big thank you to Marty and Helene. It's just, I don't know, just even being here in Chicago. I was in Missoula at 4 a.m. this morning, and now I'm here in Chicago. And I'm a Jersey girl, so I'm just confused. I heard that line about Jersey. You know what? It's okay. Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna let that be. I'm not looking directly at you. And also, Naima, thank you. I don't know if you're here. Oh my gosh, thank you for your beautiful artwork with the broadside. It's just, yeah, I just feel overwhelmed. Thank you, Pilsen. Also in the bookstore for being here and having these little weird little things called books. Yeah, I think I want to start actually with a poem that's relatively new, and it might require some, I don't know, poetry participation that can happen later, so this doesn't have to happen now. But this is a newer poem that I've written, which is why it's going to be on the phone. It's called In the Future We Held Each Other. Which is kind of tentatively, I've never said this out loud, the title of my next book. But I've been really interested lately in writing poetry together in ways that I think may be a bit unexpected. And a few of my friends who are poets and artists and illustrators, we sent each other care packages in the mail with first drafts of poems, seeds, and other ephemera and stuff like that, little bits and pieces. And what we did is that we actually took those packages and we put them in a blender, and we pulped it, and we made handmade paper. And then we wrote a poem on that paper inspired by the words that were in the draft. So I would like to invite you, if you want to find me at some point, later today. And if you have a slip of paper maybe that has like a word or two or a line of yours, I would happily shove it in my little tote bag. I won't lose it, I promise. And I'm gonna pulp it, and then I'll write a poem for all of you being here. And I'll post it on social media or something. I'll give it to somebody so you can like eventually see it. But that those little pieces of paper I will pulp and mix with my mom's seeds from her garden. So if you want to do that, just find me. But I'm just gonna read this poem now because I'm just like talking. So this is the poem that I wrote when I made paper. In the future, we held each other. In the future, we held each other like pea tendrils, trellised by breath, grief. And we kept holding, soupy sun spilling across our faces the morning after heartbreak, after rage so thick we needed to help each other cough the grit out. We poured vinegar on the grit. We softened it and put it in a jar. We held onto our names, called them back across so much migration, and found characters barnacled in empty spaces. Our names were salty but delicious. Our ghosts found stockpiles of abandoned superglue, and we started to piece back teeth, limbs, languages, bowls, countries. My grandmother glued back her jade necklace and pink sandals, and she stretched her anemone toes through the bands like a very good yawn. We gleamed in the holding, the softening, a bee's coat patchworked with gilded lingering. We kissed and kissed and kissed, and then we opened that jar. Shout out to Diana Coy Wynn, Nicholas Gulig, and Lily Lamb for sending me little bits and pieces to make that poem. So again, if you want to throw paper at me, I will use it and pulp it in a blender. You can make paper too. Everyone should. Okay, I'm gonna read just the very opening to this memoir because I feel like, also what is poetry, what is prose? I don't know, I'm confused. Doesn't matter. It's all making, it's all creating. But I'm just gonna read the first page, and it's actually, the book starts with poop. That's basically what I want to say. If anyone's had Dragonfruit, you know, it's got a lot of seeds. Yeah. One tiny thing I'll say about memoir, though, is that it is true. And in poems, it doesn't have to be true. And this is pretty scary sometimes to read from. So it's been an intense couple, like not even 2 months yet. But thank you for just being vulnerable here with me. Dragonfruit. In the murky broth of yet another heartache, my mother cuts me slices of dragon fruit. I'm home in Jersey and slumped at the kitchen table. My hair is dip-dyed and snot, tears and hot mascara. She hands me a slice, the white interior flecked with black seeds like suspended ants. The slice dangles on her knife, the glinting steel close to my mouth. I eat it off the knife. I've always eaten fruit this way, right off the sparks of my mother's blade. I take it into my throat, still heaving from too much survival mode. And the taste is mild despite the fluorescent hot pink flame. The seeds punctuate something I know must come, and it slides down my throat like a sweet summer slug. Jane, you have to be strong. I need you to eat more, she tells me, cutting another slice. But I tell her I'm so tired of being strong. Fuck strength, fuck resilience, fuck lessons to learn, fuck trying and trying and trying. I tell her I don't want to be strong anymore. I can't. I want to be weak. I want to fall completely apart. I want all the atoms in my body to crumble, free of the self. I want to lie down on this cold kitchen table forever. I want to be a sloth who hasn't shit in a week. Cracked ice, dish soap bubbles, mild hot sauce, rabbit paralyzed by fear, my breath leaking from me like an ellipses week. I expect her to disagree, to demand strength, to tell me I have no choice. Did she have a choice, staring at the gaping pits my father left behind? This time, though, she doesn't fight me. So be weak, she says, like a threat. Sticky fruit juice encircles her jade bracelet, and fruit flies rouse around us, dizzy stars. But you have to eat more dragon fruit and clear your system. She wants me to shit it out. And this time, she hands me the knife. I will say, for the book launch of this memoir, guess what? So I flew my mom in to Seattle, New Jersey, for the launch because she was my conversation partner, which, by the way, was so fun to have her on stage. But she brought dragonfruit. Yeah, so everyone had like little toothpicks of dragonfruit, and you know, they were clearing their systems. Okay. I'm gonna read more poems. I'm gonna read from How to Not Be Afraid of Everything, and I don't actually, unfortunately, offer any advice. Still fearful, but full of love. I guess that's ultimately it. And I'm just gonna actually read this poem called Everything, which I will say, when you write something like How to Not Be Afraid of Everything, I felt like I had to write the Everything poem. And shout out to my friend Chen, who at the end of his poem and Noisy Mouthfuls, he says, I write about everything, and everything is like questions, mothers, popcorn, ... And so I felt like I needed to write my everything. And then Everything Everywhere All at Once came out like later, and I was like, whoa! Anyway, this is my everything, and it's kind of like a mini memoir, I guess, too. I like to think of this poem as like when you're in grade school, you were like doing those like, you know, when you're taking a vocab quiz and you have to like connect the lines. It's kind of like this poem does that too. Everything. I am the type to go to bed with my feet dirty. A man calling from a balcony is not to be trusted. In 1988, the nation sings a song I can't understand, but I sing it because everyone looks at me like a thief, and no one likes a thief. Algae gathers in plastic cups along the Jersey shore. The dull prongs of a fork still count as a weapon. I gather plastic cups along the shore and shake them out to use for tea, juice, a home for my toothbrush. The Pledge of Allegiance is a building ledge, an alleged crime, a leg crossed over another leg, a plea gone askew, a gland shared in a room with someone else who looks exactly like you. Hundreds of toxic wild boars are roaming across northern Japan, and it would be a mistake to identify with them. In 1960, my grandmother holds no knife and no tall wheat. When washing her feet, my grandmother tells me she spent decades without shoes and wonders if the mud misses her. I am a good daughter, and I can repeat this indefinitely without ever taking a breath. Often I call out to myself just to hear an echo, to hear something moving in the walls like a healthy family of rats. My mother has been told repeatedly, you can't walk here. Here's a white stone, a white fence, a white seagull, a white jug of milk, a white candle, a white duvet, a white patio, a white bar of soap to wash your mouth out. Sometimes I dream in Cantonese and I have no idea what is being said. You grow to love what you create pouring out of your mouth. In 1988, my father sees his reflection in the rearview mirror and identifies with the blood moon lighting his way to Atlantic City. From a balcony, a man yells at me, "You need some white dick." And I turn into a boar. My father disappears for weeks and my mother keeps weeding the garden, pulling cigarettes from the splintering tomatoes I will devour. I study asymptotes for months and dream in curves, almost but never touching. My mother writes in her English diary from night school, "I hate him, I hate him, I hate him, I hate him, I." And her ESL teacher only gives her a check, so I give her a check plus. To be a good daughter means to carry everything with you at all times, the luggage of the past lifted to the mouth. When we look at each other, my mother laughs like an overripe tomato on a windowsill. In 1989, I spent months assembling a puzzle map of the United States of America, and the teacher said, "Good job, Jane." And then lower, louder and slower like a drowning sloth, "Good job, Jane." And I never touched a single piece. Bloody drunk and a blood moon, my father fights with another gambler and jabs at his arm with a dull fork, and they both laugh celestially. During elementary school, I did not say a single word, not even when called on, and thus the teachers and administrators decided I could not speak English because they looked at me. Mao Zedong explains math, is a real quote. In geometry, I just drew a picture of an egg. That was enough geometry for me. My grandfather was jailed by the Red Army sometime between 1966 and 1976, and my mother says, "I saw him cry when I tried to visit. He wanted to eat the bao I made for him." Algae gathers, gleaming like a jewel on the head of my 5th grade betta fish. Counter-revolutionaries during the Cultural Revolution are likened to finding a bone inside an egg. I was born healthy in the year of the rat. The man on the balcony invests in a foldable set of 2 chairs and 1 table in eggshell white, mold-resistant, and perfect for outdoor use. I was 10 when I willed a rock to fall off a ledge, just by staring at it long enough. That poem has some Chinese in it, and I don't have language skills. It's so funny, people come up to me and like, "Oh, like, that says this," and I was like, "Oh, does it?" I Google translated it, no idea. But I think it's kind of funny because it's like not like, you know, because I can't, anyway, I dream in Cantonese, anyway. I'm gonna read a short poem, believe it or not. I tend to write longer ones, and then I'm gonna just read a little bit more. I'm gonna do something too, okay. Like I'm checking that it's still there. This poem's called "I Put On My Fur Coat." This is a poem in my mother's voice. She's everything to me. If you can't tell, she's a fucking badass. Yeah, I grew up in a Chinese American takeout restaurant on the Jersey Shore. You know, I love Jersey. I do. I was just there. I just went back to Atlantic City. That's where I ended the tour, yeah. But I grew up on the strip mall, and on the strip mall, I can distinctly remember it. It's like there was a restaurant, there was a laundromat, there was Party Central, and all the way down around the corner, Tony's Pizzeria, and then around the corner, there was Burlington Coat Factory. Yeah, okay. And my favorite thing to do as a kid was to, you know, because the public library was across the street, actually. It was like the other side of the street, and my mom would drop me off there for like 6 hours to just free babysitting, basically. And so I would just read a lot, and that's kind of where I kind of became a writer between these 2 spaces. But I would take my library books and I would go to Burlington Coat Factory and I would read in the center, you know, the center of the coats, like surrounded by the fur, and just be like, oh, I'm here, like, this is so fun. Anyway, my mom had me when she was pretty young, and I would just say that this poem is inspired by the fact that, like, you know, even though, yes, like, she had to, like, provide for our family and, like, you know, pay the bills of sorts, like, she really wanted a nice coat. Like, she really wanted a coat from Burlington Coat Factory. And, you know, she was like, this is the one thing. And so she did that, got quite a bit in debt for this coat. So anyway, it's called I Put On My Fur Coat. And I put this coat on to write this poem when I went home. So just imagine me. Also, like, you know, I mean, I'm gonna say I don't like fur coats. Like, I just want to say that. Throw fur all the way, but I have to be true to the Burlington Coat Factory. Okay, I put on my fur coat and leave a bit of ankle to show. I take off my shoes and make myself comfortable. I defrost a chicken and chew on the bone. In public, I smile as wide as I can, and everyone shields their eyes from my light. At night, I knock down nests off telephone poles and feel no regret. I greet spiders rising from underneath the floorboards one by one. Hello, hello. Outside, the garden roars with ice. I want to shine as bright as a miner's cap in the dirt dark, to glimmer as if washed in fish scales. Instead, I become a balm and salve my daughter, my son, the cold mice in the garage. Instead, I take the garbage out at midnight. I move furniture away from the wall to find what we hide. I stand in the center of every room and ask, am I the only animal here? I think I have time to read maybe just a little bit more. A chunk of this book, in many ways, kind of speaks to kind of me growing up in a restaurant, but I also kind of came from a history of hunger and starvation and food insecurity. And I think it's one of those things that, you know, I didn't really fully understand. It's like, why was I eating like rotting food, you know? It's like, well, I can't throw away food, you know? And especially growing up in a restaurant, you waste nothing. It was actually because my family doesn't talk about this, it was in a Chinese politics class in college, and I'm the first in my family to go to college, and I was in this Chinese politics class, and it was like homework, you know, we're just learning things, and we learned about the Great Leap Forward, which is like 1956, 1958, right before the Cultural Revolution, and it's an estimated 36 million people starved to death in the Chinese countryside, and it's a topic that's censored, very difficult topic. Not a lot of people know about what happened. And my grandfather uses the words, you know, disappeared before he passed, about what happened to his siblings, to his family, his parents, and he was orphaned. And so, you know, it's kind of terrifying to me to come from this history of starvation on my grandfather's side, not that long ago, the generations, right? And my mom grew up in hunger at the very start of the Cultural Revolution. And then I grew up in gluttony in a restaurant. And so much of this book kind of speaks to that. I think I'm just gonna read a tiny bit from When You Died, and then I'll read a poem in the voice of the ghosts, and then I'm gonna do something potentially strange. Yay. This is from When You Died. Once, when I was 4, I poured carnation condensed milk all over my face. I was as white as I'll ever be. Eyelashes of cream, I blinked on, too ghostly for my own good. I admit it, I've pitched eggs into parking lots just because I like the sound. The sumptuous splat of sun, I'm sorry for drooling. I know, what a shame, what a waste. This hasty child, not mine. And what a taste, too. That oil spooled in gracious gravel. I want to tell you, I dated a vegetarian for 2 years, and he was as tall as a factory. And when we went out to dinner with my family, the table heaped with meatheads, how ugh. My mother said she also was a vegetarian growing up, meaning poor, meaning scallions sprouting out of everyone's mouth. If you were lucky, there would at least be sprouting. As a teenager, my mother worked in a factory a few hours away from her village, embroidering luxurious birds, peacocks, herons, swans, anything but pigeons. I close my eyes and I imagine my mother's factory collapsing, pin needles studying the sky. I have this strange feeling. I've written this before. I've always been writing to you, even before I was born. Everything reminds me of you, and I don't even know what your face looks like. Your ears, are they as large as mine? Bats in an otherwise cavernous world. Just gonna read. Thanks for listening to that. So I was writing these letters to my ancestors who did not survive, and they write me back. So this is called After Preparing the Altar, the Ghost Feast Feverishly. And this is in their voice. And it starts with a quote from Audre Lorde, which is, how hard it is to sleep in the middle of a life. We wake in the middle of a life hungry. We smear durian along our mouths, sing soft death a lullaby, carcass breath, arrows of licked fingers, and the finest perfume. What is love if not rot? We wear the fruit's hull as a spiked crown, grinning in green armor. Death to the grub fat in his milky shuffle. Death to the lawlessness of dirt. Death to mud and all its false chocolate, to the bloated sun. We want a slice open and yolk all over the village. We want a sun-drenched slug feast, an omelet loosening its folds like hot jello. We want the marble fat of steak and all its swirling pink galaxies. We want the drool, the gnash, the pluck of each corn kernel, raw and summer swell. Tears welling up oil. Order up pickled cucumbers piled like logs for a fire, like fat limbs we pepper and succulent in. Order up shrimp chips curling in a porcelain bowl like subway seats. Grapes peeled from bitter bark, almost translucent, like eyes we would rather see. Little girl, what do you leave leaven in your sight? Death to the open eyes of the dying here. There are so many open eyes, we can't close each one. No, we did not say the steamed eye of a fish. No eyelids fluttering like no butterfly wings. No purple yam lips. We said eyes, still and resolute as a heartbreaker. Does this break your heart? Look. We don't want to be rude, but we want seconds, please. We want blows of oranges, swallowed whole like a basketball. Our Mars, or whatever planet is the most delicious. Slather Saturn, ferment Mercury, lap up its film of dust, seconds, thirds, fourths, meat wool, a bouquet of chicken feet, a garden of melons monstrous in their bowls, prune back nothing. We purr in this garden. We comb through berries and come out so blue. Little girl, lasso tofu, the rope slicing its belly clean. Deep fry a cloud so it tastes like bitter gourd or your father leaving, the exhaust of his car charred. Serenade a snake and slither its tongue into yours and bite. Love, what is love if not knotted in garlic? Child, we move through graves like eels, delicious with our heads first, our mouths agape, our teeth, little needles to stitch a factory of everything made in China. You ask, are you hungry? Hunger eats through the air like ozone. You ask, what does it mean to be rootless? Roots are good to use as toothpicks. You, how can you wake in the middle of a life? We shut and open our eyes like the sun shining on tossed pennies in a forgotten well. Bald copper blood, yu choi bolts into roses down here. While you were sleeping, we woke to the old leaves of your backyard shed and then we ate that. And then we ate one of your lost flip-flops too. In a future life, we saw rats overtake a supermarket with so much milk we turned opaque. We waked to something boiling. We waked to watch dirt from lettuce to blossom into your face, aphids along the lashes. Little girl, don't forget to take care of the chickens squawking in their mess and stench. Their mouths buckle at the sight of you devouring slice after slice of pizza and a greasy box too. Does this frontier swoon for you? It's time to wake up. Wake the tapeworm who loves his home. Wake the ants and let them do-si-do a spoonful of peanut butter. Tell us, little girl, are you hungry, awake, astonished enough? I didn't write that. No, I'm serious, I didn't write that. My ghosts did. I'm serious, they came to me, and I wrote that in 2 hours. Yeah. I wrote When You Died. I wrote that for maybe 5 years I was writing to them, and then 2 years passed, and then that poem came out of me. Randomly, just at a coffee shop. Like I was like doing work, like grading, and it just poured out of me. So thank you for listening to that. Okay, one last poem. 1 second. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for being so awesome tonight. Such amazing energy. I love the poetry sounds. Yeah. I should do this. So it makes me really happy. Poetry is a life force. So thank you all so much for being here and listening. And I can't wait to meet you all and hang out with you and have a conversation. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's hella long, and it's purposely long because it's about labor, and what it means also to come from, people who physically work so hard that their bodies feel it over years. And my mom she's worked night shift for the Postal Service for almost 27 years now. She's literally right there sorting mail right now as I'm doing this. It's really intense. She's still feeding me dragon fruit. Just shit it out. Anyway, my friends know I do not like to mess my winged eyeliner.
We honor it with you.
I'm just going to read a bit from The Long Labors, and physically on the page, it's really dense. It looks like a giant chunk of tofu, and as you can probably already tell, I love form, I love poetry on the page, I love poetry performed out loud, but I've lately, I've been wanting to make poetry I want to do with my hands or something, or I want to touch it. And so I've done a few things with this poem. I ate this poem once too. I cut out words from the poem out of rice paper, and then I folded in the dumpling mix from the restaurant, and then I ate it. This was during the pandemic, so I couldn't share it with people, unfortunately. But I've been, it's hard to write about labor and not physically do the labor that I did as a child. So at the restaurant, that's what I did. And it was muscle memory. It was purely that. I was reading it out loud. Anyway, thank you for being here. And This is called the long labors. Maybe I should have had 2 bowls, but you know. Okay. The long labors. My grandmother said it was going to be long as you can hold your lineage, depending on how long you can hold your tongue, as long as your tongue can wrap around the pit of some stolen stone fruits, as long as you can hide your pitter-patter face, glued in sun-split splinters, lengthening shadows, as long as your face longing to be mirrored back to your daughter, your mother, your grandmother, freckle by freckle, furnished forever across the long, looming hall. Collapsed in a pool of spit, my mouth over papers, raccoon doctorate, luxurious loser with thin branched fingers, no meat in my palm, no muscle in the bending. The farmer in me is atrophying, the cook, the factory seamstress, the clerk, the mother in me is pulling out all that I come from, all that I owe to them. What is left of me? What is me? Professorial rat, book leavened and maddened in meetings, chewing at my desk on a frozen anything, microwave spun and splattered on lessons, wondering who packaged this, who spooned this glacial sauce into this plastic hull, whose hands, whose daughter, does she look like me, does she like dancing in the glowing, funneled in my greedy mouth, I, daughter of long labors, I knock off half-price guilt, I, impossible, imposter, big words, trying to prove what and to whom. I wait to be seated at a restaurant, and a white person enters and just starts ordering from me. I want sweet and sour chicken, but without bell peppers and brown rice, and I almost take it down. In the 12th hour of night shift overtime, my mother gobbles the air of the facility, mouth opening a cavern or a bowhead whale or a sinkhole, gobbling up its oxygen, its nitrogen, its argon, its skin, its hair dust, its swirling smog, collecting time, collecting benefits. Her eyes are so baggy to carry a leaking pack of chicken breasts she had planned to cook tonight for dinner for us. But look at the break room clock. She is out of time. They will surely go bad now, the chicken. What a waste of $1.50 a pound. She returns to her station and she rubs tiger balm and lavender oil along her wrists and hands, and she chews dried ginger to keep awake. The root of herself, sharpening, salivating. She reapplies pink lipstick, swivels the tube upwards, rituals of resilience. She feeds letters to machines, churning intestinal noise, electricity bills and love letters and baby photos and magazines and supermarket weeklies and postcards. You wouldn't believe how blue the weather was in Hawaii, how restful, how peaceful. Bring the whole family next time, and she's just ginger chew, ginger chew. I look up how labor is used in a sentence. The obvious labor. Immigrants provided a source of cheap labor. Negotiation between labor and management. Wants to vote a labor in the elections. The flood destroyed the labor of years. Industry needs labor for production. Anthropocene, how do you say that? Capitalism, gentrification. What do these words mean, and to whom? Helping my mother over the sink, I snip the ends of long beans with kitchen shears. The ends rolling away, little green lizard tails. I cut away every long word like a long bean. Drugging the G down the drain. If only we could lie on the beach. If only our limbs could loosen like an old garden hose. If only watching the movements of our stomachs rising and falling like baby jellyfish. our thighs waxing and waning in the bristle-tough sand. If only reading a book, the pages wrinkled and curled like a snail shell from falling asleep against our faces. If only devouring a cloud full of no rain, no metallic muscle. If only we went into that softness. If only we went there into the drowning, doughy abyss. What is this word, vacation? My grandmother asks me, chili oil hitting the walk like delicious dying stars. My grandmother said it was going to be long. Going out the door, always late for work. Shirt inside out, said go on and bounce a howling baby, my mother, me, and all, while skimming oxtail broth, the fat sheen of look how well we do in this country. Look how well we eat, lest you forget it was worth it, lest you forget the dilation, the cervix going, the contractions going, the grip, the placenta, the shit, the vernix, the garbled life going, the soft flashlight eyes, the milk, the teeth, the hands on the heart, the soup coagulating on the stove. You have to go. For what gleams in the dark turns to look at you. Remember this, the work and the after work, and the work of being perceived as not doing enough work, though you're working well over enough. Will this ever be enough? When is enough enough? The chorus sings together now, not until the knots of fat melt in this walk, not until you have nothing left but this suet, this smear of high heat lineage, gleaming in the gloaming, and it is yours, and it is mine, and it is our dream daughters, and it will last forever, and you will believe it. Believe us. Thank you.
Don't worry, this will not be wasted. I'm going to eat this. Okay. Jane Wong, please keep that above going. It's like the best use of our office scissors ever. Oh my goodness. Okay, couple quick things as we close out this portion of the evening. I do want to thank the funders who make these events possible, the Poetry Foundation, the National Endowment for the Arts, DCASE, Illinois Arts Council Agency, Poets and Writers, and the Gaylord and Dorothy Donnelly Foundation. One more big round of thanks to our event sponsors, Kundiman Midwest and Revolution Brewing. Couple of quick things. We are, as has been mentioned, hiring. We're hiring for poets in residence. We're also hiring for a literary life intern, which means you get to hang out with me, but mostly you get to go to open mics and promote this. So check that out. Also, we're hiring for a marketing assistant. So check out poetrycenter.org, apply today. We have these gorgeous new broadsides that have been created based on Jane's poem Lesson on Lessoning. Big thanks to our board member Naima Thomas for designing this. They are available for a very special event-only price, along with Jane's books, How Not to Be Afraid of Everything and Meet Me Tonight in Atlantic City, both very instructive, directive titles. Yes, right? Let Jane tell you what to do with your life. She will sign these. These are all for sale in the conference room, just right that way. What else? Oh, Pilsen Community Books is selling these books tonight. Big thanks to them. There are some snacks in the kitchen. Please eat them. I bought them at Costco, so there's large quantities. Please eat them. Last year we had potato chips for 6 months after the annual poetry party, so please eat the food. There's a bar right here, so get your beverages there. We're going to, grassroots style, be putting chairs on racks that are going to appear magically through this door shortly. Oh, it just... Look at that! We'll do that, but if you want to be that person who picks up their own chair and puts it on the rack, kudos to you. We're going to put a bunch of them away because we're going to have a bunch of room for dancing. We have DJ Ryan, the person in the house, who is going to spin some sweet tunes for us, so we can dance and hang out to them. Thank you to our volunteers. Big thanks to our volunteers for helping out tonight. Incredible. And the Chicago Poetry Center staff. Couldn't do it without you. Michaela. Our ASL. Oh my God. Champion. Not only interpreting this portion, but also the open mic, which is a particular challenge. You don't get the information ahead of time. Okay. Hang out, mingle, network, make a poetry friend, talk to people about your introversion or your extroversion. Do those things. Hang out. We'll see you in a little bit. That's my talking.